6 to Lillian and Marty's cooking party with me, Lillian, my dad, Marty, and my second dad, Steve Kagan. This is Steve on the smoker today, and we have quite the exciting lineup. And Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I started smoking with this. This is a Meadow Creek smoker 2 or 3 years ago. And Marty and I have done several projects. We've done whole pigs multiple times, and ribs, and brisket, and fish, and pulled shoulders, pork shoulders to make pulled pork. This grill heats and cooks very evenly. We'll get up to, we'll have it around 225 today, and that's a good smoking temperature, and it'll stay consistent for hours and hours and hours. So once it's set up and running, you put some wood in to create smoke, and it will go for as long, pretty much as long as we want. It'll stay hot even overnight. We've cooked pigs overnight in the past.
All right, so we are just lighting up the, what's it called, a chimney?
That's the chimney
yeah,
starter.
Chimney starter to start the coals heating up. My dad just brought some firewood, and we'll be back. We're going to go prepare the meat.
This is actually the smoking log.
Smoking log.
Which is what kind of wood today?
It's a fruit wood. It's probably, I think it's either apple or cherry. And I just want to say we have one whole bag of charcoal in here and a chimney's worth of extra charcoal. And then we'll throw, once we get this going, we'll throw this log on, which will just continue to, it's green, so it'll smoke and smolder for probably 8 hours, if not longer. But we'll be back with all our product to put on here once the fire's ready.
Okay, we're back inside. As you can see, we have the cuts of meat out and ready to go. We have some chicken behind us. We will get to putting on the rubs and explaining what we do to prepare the meats. But now Steve would like to talk about why it's important to know how to smoke meat and what the history behind that has been.
Right now it's not that important to smoke meat other than it tastes great. But refrigeration is a relatively recent invention to preserve food, to freeze it and refrigerate it, maybe in the last 100 years or so. Before that, which is very short time in history of humankind, before that, when an animal was killed or even a vegetable harvest, there were times of great amounts of food and then very scarce times, feast and famine. And the whole idea of preserving meat in particular is to level out your food supply so that you have a constant supply. And the ways that you can do that are salting, brining, pickling, and smoking is one. Drying meat out. When you dry it, you're trying to get all the moisture out to preserve it. The water content is what grows bacteria and will spoil meat. Ironically, now you don't want dry barbecue, so you would do things like brining and even injecting, which is what this is for, to keep it moist. We're not worried about preserving the meat so much. When we smoke it, we want flavor and it still to be juicy and moist. So these are baby back ribs, pork shoulder, and we have chickens, and we'll put rub on those shortly.
So next,
how's our fire?
it's still going. So the chimney's still burning.
Wait, do you want to just keep rolling?
Yeah, keep going. We'll put mustard on the pork, which acts as a kind of a glue for the rub. We want to put a lot of rub on the pork shoulders. If we were injecting, you could inject the shoulders with broth
So you want to do that
to
one?
keep them
Does it matter what
moist.
kind of mustard you use?
Yes, it should be just yellow.
Plain old yellow mustard. It has almost no flavor when it cooks, surprisingly, but it acts as great stickum for the rub.
Glue.
Right.
It's the glue.
You get it on all sides and in all the crevices.
And I don't know if Steve mentioned, but this should be as close to, the pork should be as close to, or any of the meat should be as close to room temperature as possible. Then your cooking times will not be, the fire will not have to defrost the meat before you start cooking it. You definitely don't want anything frozen on a smoker because it's a low cooking temperature. That's my reminder to take my medicine.
An alarm.
Just, there we go. All right.
Look okay.
That looks good. Also, to keep this moist too, there are some people that put insert apples or onion inside it, and then it steams from the inside and cooks evenly that way too, and get some flavor from those things. We're not going to do that today.
I'm not a believer in it myself.
Marty doesn't do that. I do it occasionally. Pork is has a lot of fat content and moisture content, and doesn't dry out much. There's not much risk in that, so just cooking it like this will be fine, and putting rub on it seals it. Also, the rub recipe you'll see has sugar, which caramelizes and forms kind of a shell or a bark around the outside of the roast, and keeps it contained and moist inside, and we'll cook from the inside that way.
And also, we're cooking at a really low temperature, 225 to 250, never over 250. So it doesn't have a chance to dry out. You're really trying to bring the meat temperature, especially with the shoulder, up to about 185, which melts all the collagen, melts all the fat, keeps it inside. It really, tenderness and moistness doesn't seem to be an issue. Okay, now we have this rub we're going to sprinkle generously on all parts of the meat, and then kind of put the meat back together. This has been deboned, so
You're out of frame.
So it's got a lot of little cuts on it, so there's a lot of little places you can put the rub, and then we just kind of fold it back together the way it should have been in its prior existence, and then we'll drop that on the grill when the grill is ready. Okay, grab the rub, and just...
After you.
You want me to give you an example, and then... Okay.
We do a lot of rub on the pork shoulders
Shoulder.
because it's a big, dense piece of meat, and the ribs will do much less.
Right,
We find
much
that
less.
we just sprinkle it on the ribs. They don't need to be sealed as much, and there's much more surface area for meat. So they tend to get too spicy if you put too much on,
And way too salty.
and too much salt.
So it's more of a flavor, and here we think it's a must to have lots of rub on these big pieces of meat. With chicken, or with, like Steve said, the ribs, not so necessary to put very much on. In fact, you could probably just put salt and pepper on them if that's, you'll see, just let this go back to the sheet that it was cut from, which is kind of like that. And that one is, I'll put a little more rub on there in a minute, but it's kind of done. So you want to do the next one?
I can put some on here. And also you'll see that this starts to draw out some of the moisture of the salt. It'll get a little bit damp on the outside and sort of set, which is a good thing. And you want to try and cover this as completely as possible, all the sides, top, bottom, inside.
Yeah, there's a thing about barbecue. People talk about the crust, and some people really live to eat pieces of meat with the crust on it. If you're just going to do this as pulled pork, and what happens with that crust is it gets mixed in with the pork and flavors the inner bits, and that's also yummy too.
Other side.
Lillian will include the recipe for this rub, or you can use any rub that you like, whether it's purchased or whatever. This one's pretty easy to put together. And it has pretty common ingredients like dried mustard again, and salt and pepper, and a little bit of sugar, cumin,
Cayenne.
no cayenne, but it does have chili powder,
Paprika.
and lots of paprika.
Paprika is a big ingredient. Okay.
So we'll just let these sit here
There. That's good.
and kind of harden up.
Do you have to roll this back up?
No, they're done. That one's actually the way it should look. That's the way I go on the grill. That's the way it's hanging.
Do we tie it up at all?
No, these we don't have to even tie. These we will tie only so we can fit them on the grill.
Would you want to do it now or
Do what?
this? Or the chicken next?
No, the ribs we'll do next. You ready to go, guy?
Yeah.
Just keep going.
The ribs.
I will move. Yeah, let's just move these out of the way. shove those over to the right a little
Or we
bit.
just gonna go and just do it?
Like
Don't
that?
put too much on there. I think that's too much. I really was really light last time. So
Yes, boss.
what I did was just do
Like
this.
that, like
You're
that?
in the way of the camera.
Yeah, but now I'm not. Okay, pick those up and I'll show you what I did.
You do both sides or just the?
Yeah, but just, you know, we really didn't put much on at all because we found, for one thing, ribs have a yummy taste when they're smoked and they don't need much.
There's a lot.
And they don't even need much salt for some reason. Beef, I think, needs more salt. But pork, for some reason, at least of this kind,
Good.
you really don't want much on there.
I didn't
Yeah,
get
one
this
more
side.
time.
Oh,
Is that, or if I could just
Go
touch
ahead,
it?
flip it over.
yeah,
Yeah,
put it over and just leave it like that.
That was the
Okay.
easiest.
yeah. Yeah, those ribs are really
But
easy.
we roll them up an hour later.
We need
Well,
that.
we need to
the
give them a
rib-
demo of how we,
Just to tie them in the.
Yeah.
Here's a string. We use butcher string, and to save room on the grill, you can get racks for ribs. We don't have that, so we're going to tie them in a circle.
did you talk about this?
So they're
Yeah.
smaller. Thing. This is, by the way, it's good for Halloween too. Okay.
Okay,
Enough said about
so,
that.
you know, I will mention one thing. Inside, on the back portion of ribs, there's a thin membrane that you either want your butcher to remove, or if you buy your ribs in a cryovac, then you would need to remove yourself. And you just take a piece of, get it started with a knife, piece of paper towel, and strip that off of there. Then the smoke can get into the meat better. So what we're going to do is just turn these into circles and put some, there's a knife right there on your left, and put a loop at the end of that. Just, you know how to do that? Yeah. And then put that around here, put it through the loop. And basically all you want to do is, okay, stop. I think that's it. So tie that off. Do you know how to do that? Just put a loop through here and slide it in.
Okay.
Okay, now I think we can turn the camera off and finish up the job, because that's basically what you want
We'll
right
do
there.
4 of those in little circles.
And we do this again as a space-saving device for the smoker. Okay, we'll be back.
All right, chickens.
So this is how you prep a chicken. And you know, we're going to smoke these today, but I do almost the exact same thing with these chickens when I'm just cooking 1 or 2 for the family in the oven. I cook them at 350. I cut an apple into 8 pieces, core it, pieces inside the chicken, about a tablespoon of this rub inside the chicken, sprinkle the outside, fold the wings back under, and an hour and a half later at 350, they're done and they're yummy. And it's quick and simple and they taste good. But today we're going to smoke them, so we're just going to, no apple, we're just going to put in rub inside, rub on the outside top, we don't worry about the bottoms.
So
And-
leave the cavities open so the heat and smoke circulate
Yes,
inside and it
inside.
gets cooked more evenly.
And again, there's plenty of fat in the chicken, especially in these commercial birds. You don't have to worry about brining at these temperatures. If you're going with a turkey, with a bigger fowl, and less fatty birds like turkeys, I would definitely brine, which again is just a solution of water, salt, and sugar, and any herbs or spices you might want to add to that. There are plenty of brine recipes out there.
And that's great for Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
the
and
fall,
those birds
to
are
smoke
always a
turkey.
huge hit, especially the breast meat. Okay, so
Rub.
take the rub and put about a half of that spoon inside
In the
each
cavity.
bird. Oh, flip it straight up in the air, there you go, and then
This
sprinkle it in, yeah. Try to get it on the breast,
All the
which
way
is
around.
the top.
Okay, that's enough. Good. And then a little bit on the outside.
Yeah, it can be pretty heavy on the bird because it's skin. So it doesn't really, you're not going to eat the skin because it's too...
The skin gets kind of leathery when you smoke poultry.
So we pretty much get rid of the skin. and eat the meat. Again, it's a crowd favorite around here, especially the breast pieces. For some reason, although I'm a dark meat guy. You don't have to go that heavy.
Sorry.
That's fine. All right, we'll be back when we get them on the grill.
These are going outside. Damp on the outside now as some of the moisture is pulled out and the salt.
Section City.
We're ready. Open up at the grill.
The grill's
it's
up
250.
to 225, I think. Lots of smoke coming up. The drip pan is installed. Just wipe down the grate a little bit. It's all stainless steel grate. Put the meat right on the metal and then close it up, and it will smoke for as many hours as we decide is right. What we do is, after a time, take the internal temperature of the meat and see how it's doing. That's how we'll determine when it's good.
Nice clean grill. Okay, then you just try to do is around the edges, heat can come up around the drip pan, and you don't want to cook.
And keep it a few inches
Yeah,
from
you're
the
good.
edge there.
Good.
And the chickens you want here.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lo, we'll let you cook.
Yeah, you do the chickens.
Don't
That's your-
have them touching. That's fine. That's fine.
Separate them a little, that's good.
Remember, we're going to put the
So now the smoke will flow all around these and very slowly, gently cook the meat and smoke it.
put it closer because we're going to put those ribs on.
Wait.
That way, yeah, just like that. Yeah. We'll readjust these things. They do tend things shrink up, so we get a little more space, for an hour or two, and move that over that way.
That's good.
Yeah, fine. Okay. Okay, top down, and that's it.
When do we put the ribs on?
In a couple
That's
hours. Only because we want the ribs done.
Ribs
It's
will
like
cook
10 o'clock
less.
in the morning. We want the ribs done about 6. So we're not going to put them on until about noon because they only take about 6 hours. The shoulders take 8 or more hours, and the chicken takes 4 or more hours. The chicken we're not serving today, so we can take it off whenever. But we want the ribs for dinner. Okay, we're done.
We'll be back in a couple hours.
You lied to us, or something gets in it. When something gets in it. It's
All right,
not-
here we are. It's 11 o'clock. Woo! And look at how pretty everything looks. See how they've shrunk? Wow. And those ribs are cooking very nicely. We're just adjusting things so we have more room. Well, I think I'm going to have to. Huh? These also shrink up a little bit.
When something gets in it, it's not alright with us.
We'll be back.
Well, since functioning city.
All right, we're back again. It's been 9 hours for the big pieces of shoulder and 6.5 hours for the ribs. The ribs, we can tell, are nice and done because the bone tips are blackened. The meat looks very smoky and it's nice and soft in between the bones where the meat is. So that's nice and tender. We're just going to cover these for dinner, and in about a half an hour that'll be nice and room temperature-ish at that point. We don't need it hot today. The shoulders, I've got this one just loosely covered with foil to keep the temperature in. They both came off the grill off the smoker because they hit about 175 internal temperature. This one we might serve a little bit of. I want to get it on camera tonight, so I'll just leave it like that. This one I'm going to need to save to serve next weekend, so I'm just going to wrap it up, leave it out for a while as the internal temperature will rise about 10 degrees when I do this. So I'll get up to just right 185. It was 175 on the smoker. And I'll just leave this here. Put one more piece of foil over because I got a little thing here. Not that one. This is heavy duty foil, which if you're going to refrigerate it for a while, I recommend. It just holds up better in the refrigerator. Okay, and that's really about it.
We're gonna wrap up the chickens.
The chickens are already put in plastic freezer bags and thrown in the refrigerator. They'll last for quite a while because they've been smoked. They're really preserved. You won't have to worry about them going bad just like a raw chicken would if you left it in the refrigerator for too long. So again, those will be refrigerated. This will be refrigerated until next weekend. Today is Monday. We'll serve these both on Saturday. So they'll last no problem in a nice cold refrigerator for that long. And that's it for smoking on Memorial Day.